We're going to go to the biggest controversy here. Well, again, we had 1,000 things to pick from because it was an absolute brawl in there. They called each other liar 1,000 times. The crowds booing like crazy. But I think I'm going to go with the 9/11 controversy. So we're going to go to video number one here. Okay. So this got really not just ugly, but interesting. So let's watch.
Obviously, the war in Iraq was a big, fat mistake. All right? Now, you can take it any way you want, and it took Jeb Bush, if you remember at the beginning of his announcement, when he announced for president, took him 5 days. He went back. It was a mistake. It wasn't a mistake. Took him 5 days before his people told him what to say, and he ultimately said it was a mistake. The war in Iraq, we spent $2 trillion, thousands of lives. We don't even have it. Iran is taking over Iraq with the second largest oil reserves in the world. Obviously, it was a mistake. So George Bush made a mistake. We can make mistakes, but that one was a beauty. They lied. Okay. They said there were weapons of mass destruction. There were none, and they knew there were none. There were no weapons of mass destruction.
All right.
So here's the deal. I'm sick and tired of Barack Obama blaming my brother for all of the problems that he's had. And frankly, I could care less about the insults that Donald Trump gives to me. It's blood sport for him. He enjoys it, and I'm glad he's happy about it. But I am sick and tired of him going after my family. My dad is the greatest man alive in my mind. And while Donald Trump was building a reality TV show, my brother was building a security apparatus to keep us safe, and I'm proud of what he did. And he's had the gall to go after my
World Trade Center came down during your brother's reign. Remember that.
Hold on. Let me finish this. He's had the gall to go after my mother.
That's not keeping us
I won
safe.
the lottery when I was born 63 years ago and looked up and I saw my mom. My mom is the strongest woman I know.
Okay, so that was amazing because we've had so many years now of Democrats not saying it, the media not saying it, and here's the leading Republican nominee saying the World Trade Center came down on George W. Bush's watch. It's absolutely true, and we know that there are the memos saying to Bush, watch out, bin Laden is determined to attack inside the United States. We know that Bush got that memo and told the guy while he was on vacation for a month right before 9/11. A month, okay? He said, you covered your ass, go back home. But they won't talk about it. And here's Trump, and he throws it in the Republicans' face. Bush was a disaster, 9/11 happened on his watch. And so, hell of a controversy. He got booed a lot, but then he's right. A lot of people in the audience are donors and lobbyists, so they hate him. So, and that's another thing you're never supposed to do is attack the audience. He attacked the audience because the guy's got, whether you like him or not, giant-sized balls. He doesn't have political consultants, that's for sure. No political consultant would tell him to attack the audience and would call the last Republican president a giant failure who didn't keep us safe. But he did all of those things. So it'll be really interesting to see out of that controversy who comes out ahead. Does Trump's numbers go up, or do Republicans get pissed and go, whoa, hey, Bush kept us safe?
No.
Not talking about Republican voters.
Yeah.
Voters.
There is a big swath of Republican voters who will be upset with that because they don't like it, they don't want to tear down their own, right? Oh, you can't say George Bush was horrible, even though we all know it. You're not supposed to say it because it hurts our brand as Republicans. But then there's a lot of Republicans who don't give a fuck about the Republican plan. And they're called the Tea Partiers, right? They don't give a shit. And I'm sure there's a lot more outside of the Tea Party. That's a winner. It's a winner for Donald Trump to do that. I think it's a winner for him with Democrats to do that.
That might be true. I think
independents, too.
And independents.
I think that with most regular traditional Republicans, the pointing out that it happened under his watch is probably fine. I think that the booing over them not finding the weapons of mass destruction and generally the criticism, one of the reasons the criticism didn't exist for a number of years is because it's dangerous, not just because it's damaging the brand, it's that it's seen as an attack on the troops. Anytime you say we shouldn't have been there or it was pointless, it was a waste of life, people try to spin that into you attacking the troops or you saying that they died for nothing. And so when he points out that there were no weapons of mass destruction, when he implies that we shouldn't have been there ever, I think he's right about all of those things. But I think that Tea Partiers love to wrap themselves in flag memorabilia and flag caps and flag shorts and all that stuff. And so he's got to be careful about that stuff that could be seen as attacking the military. And I think it will have been a very effective attack, but it could have fallen apart if, as I've said multiple times, and so I won't go into the whole thing, if Bush simply turned around and said, if you're going to keep saying that we should have never been into Iraq, you can't then propose that from here until the end of eternity, we have a bigger presence in Iraq to secure an entire country's oil industry and shipping industry and piping industry and all of that.
Okay, so I'm going to end on interestingly, by quoting a conservative here. A conservative tweeted out at the end of that exchange, if Trump can say that Bush did not keep us safe and that 9/11 happened on his watch and it's his fault, and he can say all the things he said in this debate, and if his numbers go up and he wins South Carolina, then this election is over. That means he took all the Republican establishment and all their talking points and he broke their back.
I think that was Laura Ingraham.
Yeah. Well, actually, another one did from one of the websites as well. And so I think that analysis is actually correct. And so we're going to see if after this debate, now remember, debates sometimes have a huge difference. Marco Rubio had the robot glitch thing happen to him in the last debate, and it killed him in New Hampshire. So we'll see. Trump took on every Republican talking point, establishment, audience, everything in the world in this debate. Every pundit in Washington right now, I saw it all over Twitter. They're all saying Trump, disaster, debacle.
Yes.
It was terrible. He's going to.
These are conservative pundits?
No,
kinds of
mainstream.
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 Okay.
They're all saying, oh, it was a disaster. This is the beginning of the end. And I've heard that before.
Oh.
Right. And if they are wrong about that for the 100th time and his numbers go up and he easily wins South Carolina, this, on the Republican side, this thing might already be over.
He's up by like 30 points in South Carolina. So he could lose a ton of support that might matter in future elections and still win South Carolina comfortably.
I know, but John,
That's
it'll
a good
be
state for him.
Like if he wins by 7 after like barely rescues it because his numbers go way down after this debate, it's different than if he wins by 33.
Yeah, definitely.
Sure, I do
definitely.
think it's an interesting litmus test, again, about taking the pulse of this populist movement we're seeing in campaigns. And it's weird because you've got like Bernie Sanders and Donald Trump, and they're like bizarro versions of each other speaking to the people about, and they have these messages that resonate, and they're very different messages, but they are ultimately populist, anti-establishment. We need a revolution. We need an overhaul. Burn the place down.
Yeah. And so I just want to say, we're down to these 6 candidates, so we're getting closer, right, on the Republican side. They started with 17, and 3 of them, I think, have no chance of winning. Carson has no chance of winning. Jeb Bush, come on, give me a break, has no chance of winning. And I know that the pundits don't agree with me. Marco Rubio is a boy and a robot. He has no chance of winning, okay? So, and he's a standard politician in a year where people hate standard politicians. So we're down to 3. It's either going to be Trump, Cruz, or Kasich. So that's already kind of exciting. So that's where we are today.